What is going on, YouTube? Zero Lead here, back again with a new video, episode 31 of the Disco U.S.S. Enterprise tutorial. Just want to thank you very much for tuning into today's video. If you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, helping me in supporting the channel. I really appreciate that. All the comments, subscriptions, and likes, definitely appreciate that, and can't tell you how much it means to me on the channel. And today we got some cool stuff to work on. We're going to be continuing our work of our upper hull of our saucer section. We've got one area left right behind the bridge that we got to close in. It's a little bit tricky, but we're going to get into that. This is going to be a couple of videos to get it right. I was looking for, it looks like this is going to be split up between episode 31, 32, and 33. We're going to be focusing on this portion of the ship. And I wanted to show this because it's kind of difficult to get this down perfectly, because this actually kind of goes at an angle with the saucer. If you look at it from the side, it's not completely flat. So to maintain that line is a little bit difficult, but we're going to get it. So let's go ahead and we're going to be jumping right into this. But as you can see, we've gotten so much work done on this ship. A lot of the outside has been completed at this point. This is back section that we're going to have to focus on here a little bit. We've already got our guidelines down. We know how wide it's going to be. At this point, really, it's just a matter of blending, building something out to blend it in with the ship. I also want to get a little bit of detail in on our starship engines, and then we'll focus on the saucer as well. I'm just looking at the picture, seeing some of the details that's gone on the engines. I noticed it has these cuts going along the sides here, so we want to add those in. And they're on the top and bottom, both sides. That looks pretty good. Let's go to the other side and do that on the bottom. And now we're going to go over to the right engine, and we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to cut this out, which is double wide, and we're just bringing this cut all the way up to the top row, and then we're stopping. Not super difficult to do. Again, this is just going to be one of the little details that's going to help your ship come to life a little bit more. All right, looking good. We got one more side to do. All right, and now we're going to go up one and build behind. We don't want to add in this darker gray on the same layer that we just removed. We want to essentially build it a row behind what we just removed. This way it's going to help the engines look a little bit more 3D and not so flat. You can just start on the cut here like I am, just bring it all the way over. You can delete that axis if you want, but this is probably going to be the only area where I'm going to say that doesn't necessarily matter inside the engines, because we don't build a way to get inside them. That is probably one of the only downsides to this design of the Enterprise way I do it, is I don't have a way to get up inside the engines. And really the reason for that is, in order to do that, I would have had to make the ship pylons really thick so you can actually walk through them. and I tried it out a couple of times, and it just ended up being way too big. So I just made the decision, you know what? Just not going to make it to where you can go up into them. It's not really a big deal. I've seen people that have done builds on them, and they look cool, but you know, it's just a lot of extra work that you're never going to see. All right, so now we're just going to bang out this side. And once we finish that, then we're going to zoom out and take a look. And it should be the last section. Got one last part. All right, let's get that. Go outside, so this way we're not entombing ourselves inside. You don't have to delete something to get out. That looks pretty good. This thing, we may have to adjust this cut here in the front. I don't know how I'm feeling about that, but I like this back cut here. Definitely adds a little bit more detail into the ship. Looks really good. See, and I know that I'm not saying that this is fact or anything, you know, this is just an opinion, but I really like how this design came out for the ship. You know, I feel like this is closer to what it should have been on the show on Discovery. The Enterprise should have been a little bit more streamlined, and it would have looked absolutely beautiful. Didn't look bad, but like I said, just about 5 pounds overweight. All right, let's get some detailing in on our bridge. Now you can see I started with the blue, and then I second guessed myself and switched to yellow. I was even going to do like a bronze, but because if you look at the bridge area on the TOS Enterprise, the dome is white, and it's the same thing on the Discovery Enterprise. But because we're using the white quartz, if I would have used white, it would have blended in with it. So that's why I decided not to use it in this case. I think I leave it for yellow just a little bit, but I'm ultimately going to go back and we're going to redo this top here, and we're going to make it a nice blue and cyan, and it's going to really pop and bring out the bridge a little bit better. But this is definitely a way you can go with it. For a while, I was really feeling that yellow there. I thought it looked pretty good. It was different. Um, my main reason for doing that yellow, I think, when I was looking at some models, I had seen somebody, they had painted their model and they had part of the bridge, it was colored yellows. I think on some models, the Enterprise A had parts of the bridge that were yellow, maybe. Could be wrong there. But anyway, I didn't think it looked too bad. But like I said, eventually we're going to change that. Because I'll do that from time to time. There'll be things that I'll put on here and it'll look good. But then ultimately, as I'm just going through building, I'll just decide that I'm not happy with it and I'll change it. All right. So you can see that I'm starting my line here. We're going to be making this thing 3D here, this last part on our bridge. I'm using the different color blocks or half blocks for a reason because I do not want what I'm adding on right here to blend in with everything else. I want this to stand out just in case I decide that I don't like it. And really the goal here, what we're going to try to accomplish, is that we don't want too steep of a curve. We don't want it too um, long either. Has to be kind of just right. So we're going to have to play with it a little bit. And that's why I said this is going to take kind of like 3 episodes to get there. This was the one thing on the ship where it wasn't so cut and dry to do it. It was kind of like a 3-part process where I built it, which we're going to do in this part of the video. And then over the next 2 videos, we're going to edit it. And then by episode 33, we'll finish it. So I'm kind of thinking that I'm going to use this line regardless. So I decided to go ahead and make that the regular white quartz. If you want to leave it a different color for right now, you can. Just bear in mind you're going to have to go back and change it. You're making extra work for yourself. But again, I like to do this because it's a good marker to where you can see what you're adding in it. You know, like I was saying, it doesn't blend in with the whole ship. And I'm just counting that out. That's only 3 long. I think the one before that was 4 long, but if you're not sure one back, watch what I place them down again, because I'm not counting these out. When I did this in real time, originally, you know, I said I don't have any type of blueprint for these. Sometimes I will say exactly how many numbers I used. But with this, it's kind of cut and dry how many I'm doing. But for whatever reason, as I get through this, if you get stuck on this or you're not exactly the dimensions, ask me in the comment section and I'll see what I can do to help you out. But this, like I said, it's not necessarily hard what I'm doing here, but like, it's hard to get the proportions right because that with that line the way it is in Minecraft, it's not so easy to get that, you know, that curve going and having it kind of look like the picture. I think that's the real challenge. The only thing I did change, and I thought it was stupid on the picture, and I don't recall if it was on the Eagle Moss Enterprise, but at the back of this panel that we're going to be building, it has like 2 wings. I thought that was kind of silly, so I don't have that on my ship. But that's honestly the only liberty that I've taken with the design of this of the Disco Enterprise, other than just making certain areas of the ship slightly skinnier. All right, now we're just bringing this line all the way back because I want to zoom out and gauge if the curve that I have is sufficient. And that's really what it's just going to come down to, building a little bit, zooming out, taking a look at the side, and trying to see if that looks right. And that doesn't look too bad as is, but now the big challenge is going to be when we when we close it in and try to blend it in with the hull. Is that going to mesh in right? Because in different pictures from that side shot, you can see that this lip here, it feels like it only comes up to here, but then when you look from this side, it goes all the way. So I mean, it's just, this is where I was talking about when you have a digitally created image, that it's not always, every single angle isn't going to translate as perfect as if they built out a physical model. So that's why we're trying to stick to the Eagle Moss Enterprise, because I feel like this is probably the most accurate one that we can get. And looking at the picture, I was right. It does have these 2 wings at the top towards the back. But again, I just decided to get rid of them. It looked silly. It didn't need to be there. I honestly don't even know why they added it, because in space, like these uh, vents, or these wings, I guess you can call them, back here on the engines, I left those only because they were on the TOS Enterprise. But I mean, technically, in the vacuum of space, do these things really do anything? They don't. So it's kind of unnecessary. But they're on the back of the engines. But these front ones, I definitely took them off. But yeah, no, you can see that there's definitely a lip. It's not completely flush in with the upper hull. And that's kind of what I'm trying to gauge at here. But it's literally just a little, the hull just slightly raised up, and then the middle it has kind of like a backbone. So you can see another reason. This is again why I decided I wanted to use the half slabs for the bridge in this part of the ship, just because I don't think I would have been able to build this out using full blocks. And if I would have been able to make something, but it would have came out a little too pixelated for me and too big. So I keep saying I just wish that they would release a full set of colors of half slabs. It would change my life on this game. You can see I added a gray backbone in the middle. This is just kind of like a guideline at this point. Now you can see I'm just kind of wireframing it out. I'm all the way in the back. This is on the last drop, so this where I'm adding, that's all going to be level right here on both sides. So I'll go straight across. We'll be filling all this in, and then that's when it starts to raise up. We'll add another backbone at the raise. We'll do one here too. One here. We'll stop in the middle. All right, let's do the next one. All right, looking pretty good. Let's do the left side. I'm just kind of filling it in a little bit. So I want to see how it's going to look. But ultimately what it's going to come down to, but this is going to be a 3-part video to get this fully right. We're going to have to build the frame of this thing and then start shaving away parts of it and then adding layers here, layer there, but we'll get there. But this is hands down one of the most trickier parts on the ship. I always takes me just a little bit to get this right. This and the shuttle bay, I would say, are probably the most tricky parts to do, at least on the Constitution class. Oh, let's fix that. All right, so I think we're just going to close this in because some of this we're going to use, and we also need to kind of visualize and see what it needs. Let's see, we're about 5 minutes left in the build. We're pretty much only going to have enough time, I think, to finish closing this in. And then over the next 2 videos, we're going to be editing this out. And even then, when I end on, I'm not completely settled on it. At some point, I might go back and readjust it. I mean, it doesn't look bad. I mean, even what I end up with at the end of this video, it doesn't look bad. It's just, to me, it's just not close enough to the picture. But I think the main thing here, and this is why I'm showing it, is because and I was looking at it, I was trying to think of a way where I can edit it to where I wouldn't have to do this over 3 videos, but there's really going to be no way around it, just because of the way that I edit the actual building. But we're making some progress. We're finally closing in almost the last open parts of our saucer. Once we close this in, the only part that's going to be opened is going to be the lower part that's directly underneath the bridge. Well, not directly underneath, but the very, very bottom of the saucer in the middle. All right. See how I went out one because we're gonna essentially try to blend this in a little bit. And only on the sides right here you can see I'm using the full blocks. Then I'm going to go back with the half blocks to blend it in. see what I did there? Just save a little bit of time going back and forth between the half blocks and the full blocks instead of having just to do 2 rows. Switch over to full, just put down one down. And I'm just going with this cut right here to make this. I'm just making it 3 long, seeing if that looks good. Now it's 4. So I'm just blending that in with the cuts. See, and this is where I talk about where if you look at what you have going on and you try to blend it in to make it work with what pattern you have going on, sometimes you can stumble across something that looks really good on accident. But again, a lot of this has been pre-planned, is just in the manner of way that we built the ship. It's almost designed to come together this way, basically. All right, I'm literally just kind of building a line around the bridge because I think I want to like keep that line intact right there. We'll do like, we'll either leave that the white or we'll do like a darker gray just in between the gap there. And that could look pretty good. Because there is a line right here behind where the bridge and this thing meet up. It's a faint line, but it's there. So we want it, we definitely want to show that. So you don't want the bridge in this strip that we're adding just to directly blend in together. So just by adding that line and having that gap there with a pattern like that, it differentiates it enough. Or like I said, you can go back and remove those white concrete blocks and replace that with a darker gray and it'll make it pop. How we looking? It's looking all right. It needs some work. Definitely needs some work. But looking at that, that doesn't look horrible as is. It really doesn't. But I don't think it's quite there yet. I mean, you could leave it just as is right now. I don't think it would look bad. It definitely has, the angles are there. Um, but I think that it needs a little bit more line work down here in the middle, and then we'll be there. But I think that's going to wrap up this episode. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this episode as much as I enjoyed doing this episode and this whole series. And if you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, helping me and supporting the channel. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. And don't forget to tune in tomorrow for episode 32. We're going to be continuing on with this build behind the bridge. It will be, should be like a 3-parter, episode 31, 32, and 33, I believe. And then we'll be moving on to other sections of the ship. So we still got a lot more to do in this tutorial series, and you can always check back for new episodes Monday through Saturdays. The only day that I won't be putting out new videos will be on Sundays. So anyway, that's going to do it for me, and I will catch you guys in the next video.